I actually think I'm gonna drink this today. I never make a good at-home coffee, but this might be a winner, which is crazy. Anyways, hey guys, welcome to this week's video. So today's video is very long awaited, at least for me. Like, no one else was probably waiting for this, but like I've been wanting to make this video for a while now. And that's going to be my completely raw and honest EF Ultimate Break review, especially because I just recently became an ambassador with them. So if that tells you anything about my opinion on them, like obviously I would not have become an ambassador if this video was to like bash on them. That means that I have a special referral link and referral code that you can use when you sign up for your first trip with them. So that code is UAEden100. I'll put it on the screen, and be sure to use my direct link in the description box below if you want to use that code and get $100 off your first trip. And that link is also like in my Instagram bio, pretty much anywhere you find me on social media. Yeah, and so now I'm gonna get into, I have like a whole 2 pages on my iPad written down, actually 3 pages. This video is just going to be specifically about EF Ultimate Break, not necessarily the specific trip that I went on with them. Because I know before I booked with them, I watched a lot of these like review videos and like honest opinions on like how their trips work and everything, so that's what my video is gonna be. But if you want me to make a specific London, Paris, Rome video, I definitely can do that as well, because I love talking about my trip. And then I did vlog my trip, but like 3 separate cities, again, back in June, so you can just scroll back on my channel and find those. They'll be linked somewhere on the screen as well. If you want to see me actually there on the trip, go ahead and watch those. Yeah, let's get started. So if I'm looking down, I'm just looking at my iPad of my notes because I just don't want to get anything wrong. But if you don't know what EF Ultimate Break is, they are a trip company where anyone ages 18 to 35 you can book a trip through them. They're kind of like a travel agency type thing, and you go on this group trip with people, again, ages 18 to 35, and you can travel the world and experience it, especially as a solo traveler, which is what I was. So that's where my experience, that's my lens that I have on everything, is I was a solo traveler. I have always wanted to see the world growing up and everything, and I wanted to do a study abroad program, but the summer that I wanted to do it, it wasn't available anymore, of course. So I was like, okay, I still really want to go. I have this money saved up for this program. I want to go. Like, I was literally like gonna book a solo trip myself, but then I found EF Ultimate Break through a different YouTuber that I watched, and I was like, wait, this is so perfect, because it's like a group of a bunch of solo travelers coming together. You're all experiencing these same things, so you have like people to lean on and everything. Anyways, that's like getting too deep into it, but that's what EF Ultimate Break is. They have trips all over the world. If you're from the US or Canada, like, you can do these trips to other parts of the world. And so I kind of mentioned the trip that I went on. I will just like briefly state like the one that I went on, because then you know, again, like the lens that I'm putting over this of like what I experienced. So again, I went on the London, Paris, and Rome. I believe it's listed as like Rome, Paris, London, but the order was London, Paris, Rome, so that's what I call it. But it's those 3 cities. It's easy to find on the website. It was perfect. It was 11 days. We flew into London, you take a train to Paris, and then you fly to Rome, which was just like a perfect mix experience of all the different transportations that you can take over in Europe as well. So that was my experience. So now I'm gonna get into the more like categorized parts of this video. So the first category I'll be talking about is their essential versus plus trips. So basically EF Ultimate Break has 2 types of trips, essential and plus. I did the plus. So with the essential, you're paying less because it's just the essentials of a trip. It's going to be less things included in your trip. You're going to be staying in hostels instead of versus hotels. My main point of this section is that I definitely recommend springing for the plus trip if you have the funds and the means to do so. Hold on, coffee break. Sorry, I'm just gonna hold this because I just like need to read off of it. So with the plus trip, we stayed in all hotels. I enjoyed every hotel. Like, obviously every hotel you stay in is gonna have like its ups and downs, but again, I can talk about the hotels more in a separate video on like the specific trip I went on. But you stay in hotels closer to the city center than you would if you booked the essential trip, which is, I saw a lot of people talk about that when I was watching videos before I booked my trip, of people being like, yeah, I booked the essential trip and we stayed in hostels and it was like kind of far away from the city, so a lot of your time is like spent traveling into the city center, like into the city. So I was like, okay, if I can, like, I'm gonna spring for this plus, because then you're staying closer to the city center, you're most likely near like a metro station, and you get 1 dinner in each city rather than only a welcome and a farewell dinner. With the essential trips, I believe you only get a welcome dinner like your first night there, and then a farewell dinner your last night on the trip. But with the plus, I've noticed you get, I'm not sure if this in my specific trip, we got 1 dinner included in the price of the trip in each city. So a welcome dinner, a farewell dinner, and then in Paris we just had a dinner our first night in Paris included, which is really, really nice. And it's a great way to, you know, get a meal in without having to like stress about searching for where to eat your first night in the city. Yeah, again, so if you can, I really do recommend springing for the Plus. And honestly, if I were to go on another one of their trips, I may, you know, check out the Essential and like look at reviews and like see how far away from the city you stayed. It just depends on like how far away you really want to stay from the city center, how easy you want it to be to like get into the city, I believe. So that's my opinion on that. Okay, now I'm going to be talking about what was included in the cost of this trip. And I've noticed, you know, I've browsed like so many of their trips. Like I've probably browsed at least half of their trips and like read all the details and everything. And just like even recently I've been on the website so much being like, okay, where should I go next? But so this is what was included in my Plus trip. I had flights, hotels, and the train from like London to Paris. That is all included and booked for you. You can have the option to book your own flights to and from like the US to your destination, and then from the last destination back to the US. If you can like save money that way or whatever, but I was like, I'd have 0 rewards on any airline. I had never flown, and since I was like a little tiny baby basically, so you know, I didn't have anything to like really save money there. So I was like, I'm just gonna pay the full price, you know, have them book my flights for me, and so I don't have to worry about it. That was another big thing with this trip, is like EF Ultimate Break books everything for you that is listed on like the trip website. Obviously, if you want to do other excursions, like if you want to do like other sightseeing that's not listed on the website, like you have to book that yourself. Like I had to book my Louvre tickets and like the Colosseum tickets and everything. Flights, hotels, and again, those like welcome and farewell restaurants are all booked and reserved for you. That's nice. You don't have to worry about that at all. They tell you, you know, where you're booked essentially. And I think I like created an account with American Airlines or whatever, and my ticket was in my account. So it was like so nice. If you want to like upgrade your flight, you can do that, but you would have to pay for that yourself. Also included in every single trip are transfers to and from the airports. Like when I landed in London from the US, there was a man standing there with my last name on a board, and it was me and 2 other people from my trip. So like we met and everything, and it was so nice to just like immediately meet other people in your group. You know, he took us in a taxi to our hotel. So it was like perfect, all set up to our hotel. It's all set up through EF, and it definitely like made me feel safer about like landing in a different country for the very first time. Was like terrifying, and then from there having to figure out how to get to your hotel would have just like sent me over the edge. So it was so nice to just get in this taxi and just be taken to where I'm going. The transfers are included, so like from London to the train station to get to Paris, like we all were on a coach bus, and you know, as a group you're traveling to those places, and then like on your very last morning, like you get on, for me it was like a bus, and about half of us had like earlier, or I guess we had like more, I was on the later bus, we had the later flight, so then we were all taken to the airport at the same time. Like I said, sometimes we had a coach bus where we'd all as a group get on and travel to different places and stuff. And also included in all these trips is a city tour in each city with a city specific guide. So that was very nice. That's most likely going to be on like your first full day there, maybe your first night in the city. But for us, it was like our first full day in the city was first morning you wake up, you go on this like tour of the city essentially with a tour guide who, you know, lives there, has lived there, and is like well versed in the city. Shows you all the big spots, brings you around, like gives you recommendations of like where to eat lunch, or you know, just like, and some history mixed in as well. So that was very nice. With Rome, it was more a tour of like the Colosseum, not inside but like around, and like the Roman Forum. A little bit of the city mixed in there at the end, but I will say Rome was like less of the whole city, but more of just like that area, which was nice, and like the history was nice as well. Ours was a mix of like a walking tour, and then in other cities it was like on the coach bus, a tour, her like pointing out like big things, and then every once in a while we'd get off the bus and like we walked through a park and we walked through a few different places. So it's just a mix. It depends, I guess, on like the city, or like I guess again the weather that day too. Also included in the trip, which I didn't know that this was going to be included until I got to this trip, which is really nice because maybe I'd like missed it on the website, but I'm not sure if this is listed on the website. But like got into London, we got the Oyster cards for the tube. That was like preloaded with trips money to use the tube and everything. Paris, again, we got tickets, and Rome tickets with like certain amount of uses. So that was very nice, and it's set up so it's like you should be able to have enough trips on this public transportation to get you through the 3 days in the city. But if you needed, you could have like reloaded with your own money. You know, you got this card of trips, so that was very nice, and again made it less stressful and less like having to worry about have enough money and stuff, so that was very nice. And I will say I did not use up my transit cards in any city. Personally, I used the London Tube so much, and my Oyster card, you know, never ran out. You also get breakfast every single morning at, you know, whatever hotel or hostel you're staying at. And again, with the Plus, we had one dinner in each city included. With hotels, you get obviously a hotel room, but you do have to pay more if you want a singular hotel room. And I will say if I do go on a trip in the future, I might end up doing that, like springing for like my own hotel room to like just decompress at the end of the night. But I did have a randomly assigned roommate, which was totally fine. Loved her, she was so nice. And it was nice. I'm just like such an introvert. I'm like, I need my own space and like to be able to decompress like on my own at the end of the night. If you want to spring for that, or if you are traveling with someone, because a lot of people on the trip actually were, you know, it was a couple or like a friend, two friends or whatever. You obviously can like, when you're booking the trip, say like this is who I'm rooming with, like I know this person, like we're rooming together. So if you feel like you might need some time to decompress by yourself, I would say spring for a solo room. It really was not that bad, you know, having a roommate for these 11 days, like it was totally fine. And yeah, so that's everything that was included in my trip and is included in what is going on with this lighting in pretty much every trip on the website. What is like shining? I'm trying to figure out what's... It was my Kindle. Okay, I'm gonna talk about excursions, which is something that EF does on most, if not all, trips have opportunities for excursions. Pretty much one or more in each city. When I signed up for my trip, I did it during the Black Friday sale, so I was already saving like $500+. So I was like, I could just put that towards booking all the excursions, because like it's probably the only time I'm ever going to these cities, my first time, and I want to do everything. So I booked every single excursion on my trip. I highly recommend doing these excursions, especially if you're by yourself, unless you have, you know, a bunch of other things booked in each city that you know you want to do more. If you know, maybe aren't sure exactly what to do in each city, you know, you book these excursions with the rest of your group, and whoever else booked them, you like experience these things with them. So mine was going on the London Eye, going to Palace of Versailles, going to the Vatican, and then also pasta making in Rome. So Rome had 2 excursions, which was really nice. It just, you know, gave us stuff to do as a group. Most of them, I believe, were on our first full day in the city. Yeah, so like we had the tour in the morning and then the excursion in the afternoon or whatever, and then you still had your whole night free pretty much from after most of these excursions. But sometimes like the Vatican was actually on our free day in Rome. Yeah, for me it was worth doing every single one. It definitely, again, helps you get more, you know, out into the city and like exploring more and stuff. So, but the tour guide will give you things to do, like, you know, give you recommendations for stuff to do while we're on the excursion, because a tour guide goes with the people on the excursion, and then whoever didn't sign up for it can obviously has free time. But yeah, excursions, definitely a plus. Definitely made it very fun, and like kind of a bonding experience with whoever went on the excursion too, so that was very fun. So now I'm gonna talk about like the format of the trip. I've kind of already touched on this, but just like explaining how the flow of the trip goes and everything, I'm just gonna kind of go through it really fast. So if you're curious, again, this is my trip specifically, but I will say a lot of the trips are formatted this way. You can go on their website and it'll tell you day by day exactly what you'll be doing. Arrive in the city, you get your bearings. With London, we walked to our welcome dinner. Well, walked and kind of took a bus, I believe. So he kind of like, the tour guide showed us around, the like overall trip tour guide showed us around, get your bearings. It's nice to kind of just like have a chill night of just dinner and like chilling at the hotel. The next day we had a walking tour. The rest was a free day / excursions. And then the last full day in the city was just a full free day to yourself. A lot of these trips, a lot of each city basically gets a full free day, which is so nice, because then you do whatever you want, and so nice. Then that next morning after our full free day, we got on a train to Paris. Again, you bus to the hotel, had our dinner in that city. Again, walking and learning how to use the public transit and everything, so that's just a nice way to get your bearings and again have a chill little first night in the city. Next day was a city tour again, and then the excursion, which was Versailles, and then again free time. Your whole night is free after your excursion / city tour. The next day was a full free day, and then the next morning wake up early, fly to Rome. Again, bus to hotel. There was no like first night dinner that was pre-planned already in that city, because in Rome we had the farewell dinner, which was going to be our last night in the city. We were still, you know, shown how to get our bearings and how to use public transit. So next day was again tour, mostly of the Roman Forum, but that, and then the excursion, which was pasta making. And again, the rest of the day is free for yourself. And then next day was a full free day, which was for me the Vatican and the farewell dinner at night. So a free day to do whatever you want, and then you just all meet up together at whatever restaurant your tour guide tells you to meet up at and have our farewell dinner. The next morning you wake up early or whenever, and bus to the airport, dropped off at the airport, and you're back on your own, which at that point I felt like very confident in my skills in the airport. It was totally fine. So yeah, and like I said, each trip has at least one free day in each city depending on like the length of the trip and everything. Very, in my opinion, so nice, and just like that's definitely what I wanted, was to be able to like do my own thing as well. So yeah, that's kind of the format of how these trips work. Now I've been kind of talking about the tour guide. So there is, obviously you're with your fellow solo travelers or fellow couples, whatever. Mine was like a lot of couples. It was so nice, so fine. I was just like, even my tour guide was like, I've never had this many couples on a trip. So it was just surprising. But then you get your overall trip tour guide who does this for a living and takes these tours to these places for a living and is so knowledgeable and just like knows literally everything. Like at least my tour guide did. Again, I love my tour guide. So with that, when you sign up for your trip, you're put, I think it's like 100 days out from your trip or something, you are in a group chat with the rest of your group members on the EF Ultimate Break app. And then from there, my tour guide moved us over to WhatsApp, because when you're over there, that's an app that you can use to communicate with people from different countries and stuff. So we're moved into a group chat in WhatsApp, so very easy to communicate with everyone. He'd send us like the next day's schedule every night and being like, we have to be up at this time, and very clear communication. And if you ever had any questions at all, you can message him through that. And then you can also message your fellow group members from there, like if you're like, hey, you want to, go to lunch at this place tomorrow or whatever. So it was very easy to communicate with everyone. Someone got lost, they could be like, or if they got separated from the group, they could be like, hey guys, where are you, type of thing. So again, loved the easy communication between everyone. He went above and beyond for us. I think like he gave us so many recommendations. If you asked for, where should I go for lunch? What should I do here? Like, and he actually organized in Rome like a night out, like clubbing for us, which was so nice and like unnecessary. Also, our first night in Rome, he organized another dinner for us, which we obviously had to pay for separately, but like he was like, we can all meet at this dinner, because we all just like really enjoyed our dinners in each city. So he was like, okay, well, we can go to this restaurant, but like we had to pay him, for the meal or whatever. So that was so like unnecessary but so nice. That was just like an extra perk to the trip. Like it was, again, and if he's taking you on these stuff, you're obviously paying for it yourself. So him organizing stuff for us was just like so nice. And then at the end, at our farewell dinner, he gave us like group pictures, like printed out group pictures for us, and gave us like each a little magnet from each city and little like souvenir. And I was like, that was so nice and so unnecessary, but yeah, it just made it just, it was so nice, like how much your tour guide like cares for you on that trip and like genuinely like wants you to explore these cities and get involved in the culture of these cities, and just like make sure you're having a good time on this trip that you paid a lot of money for. So nice. And yeah, your tour guide is just a great tool for being able to get around the city as well. So, and my last section, which is good because I'm running out of steam, my throat is starting to hurt. My last section is just titled other / miscellaneous things that I just wanted to add. Yeah, like I said, I had an amazing experience. I definitely want to book another trip in the future. I've been looking at the trips and I'm just like, I think it's a great bang for your buck, in my opinion. Not that I've ever booked my own trip or had any experience with like adding up costs of these trips. Personally, I don't think I could have done all these things like any cheaper sort of way. I don't know. I personally think it's great bang for your buck. Again, like make sure you're doing your research and like seeing where you could save money and stuff. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna book with them in the future. And I'm not just saying that, like again, I would not have become an ambassador with them if I, wasn't planning on booking more trips with them. I had an amazing experience as a solo traveler. I got along with everyone in the group. Everyone was so nice because everyone's just there to travel the world and to like see everything and do everything. Everyone was welcoming. Again, the couples, there were a lot of couples on the trip, but they were all like, yeah, like let's go. Like one night I was in the West End with one of the couples because they were also seeing a West End show, and we just like walked around a little bit. It was just so nice. Like everyone was so welcoming. It was so nice. Yeah, I believe I was one of like maybe 5 solo travelers. And us as like solo travelers, we also did like tend to stick together as well and do things together because we were all on our own. So yeah, that was very nice. And as I said, it was very go, go, go. You're up early pretty much every day, but you do get the opportunity to go to bed early if you want. I have written down that I just never took that opportunity because you want to be out in the city. At least I wanted to be out in the city and stuff, experiencing these things. And like as a group, you're just like, let's do this. Let's go here. Let's do this. And then you look at your phone and it's midnight and you have to be up at 6 a.m. the next day. And you're like, well, now we have an hour train back to the hotel. So like it's a lot of go, go, go. And there are on each trip as the activity level is listed, and I looked and mine was actually considered low. I'd hate to see an even higher, like what a trip with an even higher activity level was, because I felt like we were constantly getting 20,000, 30,000 steps in a city in a day and like, walking everywhere and doing all this stuff. But again, it's what you get when you go to Europe in the summer. Like you're just constantly exploring the cities. You just want to do everything. Sleep is not a huge priority on this trip, at least this trip for me, especially with only 11 days. Like you can sleep when you get home, and that's what we were all saying. We're like, we can sleep when we get home, like we're doing everything. So also just like keep that in mind. That was the mindset of my group. That might not be the mindset of your group, but yeah, so that was my EF Ultimate Break experience. Again, if you are interested in an EF Ultimate Break trip, use my link down below and my code UAEden100. I have it listed on the screen here. Again, for $100 off your first trip. Highly recommend EF Ultimate Break. If you've been thinking about it, I just highly recommend booking the trip. Keep an eye out for their sales and stuff as well, because they do run like amazing sales every once in a while. Like I said, I booked mine during the Black Friday sale and I saved a bunch of money and was able to essentially get my excursions kind of for free because I saved, you know, that money in the sale. So definitely a nice time to book. Like go on their website, browse their trips. Again, it's ages 18 to 35, so you're kind of all, you know, around the same age. Highly recommend, especially as a solo traveler, if you have no one else in your life that will want to travel with you or like can't afford to travel with you, just do it. It's so good. As an introvert, like me saying that, do it. It's so fun. It just made me want to see the rest of the world. Like at this point, I'm like, I will go anywhere. I will go to any country. I will go experience anything. And they have so many trips to so many different places around the whole world. Highly recommend. And I hope you guys like this video. If you have any other questions about anything, let me know. I'll be so happy to answer them. Again, if you want me to do a like London, Paris, Rome specific video, let me know. I'm more than happy to do so. But I also did vlog the trip. So go check those vlogs out and I'll see you next week for another video. Bye.